Yeah, good morning, my people. Welcome once again, Wachukwu Emmanuel again, Africans Online Network. Yeah, yesterday I did a video where I tried to explain my journey with the experts, European experts who are doing a lot of job in Africa, trying to verify places in crisis and the people who are living in our kinds of situation, which is marginalization and the intimidation. I also explained the advice they gave to us as being acceptance is the only thing that is going to work for us right now. Today, again, I went in another section. Today, I have the audio recording of the experts that I happen to go in section with today, advising the Biafran people once again. Like what we received yesterday is about agreement, acceptance among each one of us out there, especially among the people, taking the many ideologies, many groups, many strategies as just all belonging to the Biafran movement. In the sense that if there is so many strategies there, what we have to do is to make sure we accommodate all those strategies. But today is a different day because today you are going to hear from these experts their voice direct advising the Biafran people on how they feel we are going to go about it. But mind you, we are happy about where we stand today because yesterday we were meant to know that irrespective of how we feel, what we are doing about the Biafran struggle, that the Biafran struggle is still healthy, that is still something, a movement that can work out to be the savior for the people. But that is one thing that you really need to pay attention to coming from all these experts. They don't believe in outright secession as at this time. They believe that we should do a little bit more homework on our own side, looking internal, trying to go according to process and time. Now, I would like you to listen to this very voice here from an expert advising the Biafran men and women.
Intention or the motivation, the first thing is always the same. Whether you're in Yugoslavia, whether you're Biafra, you're in Eritrea, there's always the cultural identity where you feel that you have been exploited. And that was the same in Biafra, the same as in Croatia, everywhere else. So with this, I developed so-called seed strategies, social, economical, ecological development strategies, seed. Yeah. It's a natural thing. You put a seed into the ground. And when a seed is nurtured well, and that is the governance, then it can be a strong tree. Yeah.
If you are just joining in, this is the voice of experts who are advising us on the Biafran movement. Just pay attention to what they feel is the solution to our problem. The voice of experts in section that I happened to meet yesterday was a different section. Today, I am bringing you direct the voice of the people, the men themselves, the white people who are advising on what the Biafran people should be looking at this point. Let's continue.
If you allow the seed, social, economical, ecological development, to be nurtured. Yeah. So this is where I then come in and say, okay, I understand conflict. I understand how conflicts, according to the wounds that are locally, that is then modern history, but the intention of truth is always the same. And that requires that you have a sovereignty of people. And that is on the district level, and I always say on the regional level, because region for me is a cultural, economical, and ecological unit. Okay? Yeah. Based on that, then you develop strategies. And those kind of strategies I think, more than 40 tools today that I can go in any region. I just look at the conflict, the path from the conflict, wherever you are in, with whatever mess you are in. Yeah. It's transformation. Mm-hmm. There must be a role model of how it should be, and this is where the governance comes in. And the governance will be then strong when the region is strong. when there's a strong regional identity, and from there you develop.
So for you now, what you advise the Biafran people is not to talk about secession, because right now it's difficult.
No, I would strengthen each state. I would get all the 11 states together and say, are we wanting to each of us plant a seed of peace? Because war we all had.
Yeah.
So if all the 11 states said, yes, we want peace, that's the first agreement you do. It's like, are we all in the same boat? If you're not in the same boat because you said 6 or 5 are confused,
yeah,
then I would sit down with those 5 people.
Now he's trying to narrate our own area. That is the 11 ethnic nationalities or the regions that make up, or states. 11 states that make up the Biafran region as at this time. That's what because we have had to tender my questions beforehand, before this day. I had to send in some of what I feel I need to understand. I talked about the division or the confusion between the Easterners, our own region south, that is the Deltas, Niger Deltas, and our south, the 11 states. I'm talking about the 5 states being the Igbo state, which I have identified, if you have been following me here, to be what my mind is deeply made up of as a Biafran nation. Although we still have our doors open, like I always say, to our brothers whenever they are finished and whenever they are done with their confusion of we are Biafra, we are not Biafra, we are more Biafra than you, we are not more Biafra than you. All that time of waiting and debating, deliberating on stupid arguments like that, I think it's over. Even the experts agree with me that you have to, if you try to make this peace, you hear it also, then where confusion will delay you, you deal with what you have for time. So we'll continue to listen to the advice of the experts.
People and say, with those 5 heads, and say, okay, tell me, just like I spoke with you, what is it you're afraid of? Tell me, what is it really that you want? What is it that you could, not what Mr. Kanu in London tells. You are the representative. Right. What is it that you forget about all the other 10 states? You. And you take one.
You are talking with the politicians or you are talking with the agitators? Because in this case now,
with what?
The politicians, or are you talking with the agitators? Because in this case, it's a group, one set of people that are divided into politicians and their own side.
Agitators I would listen to, not that they're my friends.
Okay.
But agitators are always important to listen to because they tell you, they shower you with arguments, okay, that you can step by step eliminate. Agitators live by fear. But you have to understand why they're scared. If you know they say, well, because Abuja takes all the money, okay, you can talk about this. What would be the alternative? The worst thing is that you can do, especially in your case, if you neglect agitators, because agitators like wolves.
I am one of them. We are one of the agitators.
We're one of the agitators,
yes.
But you're not an agitator for violence.
No, we're agitating for freedom.
Well,
peaceful secession. That's what we're agitating
for.
For.
That is what you have to go for. That whoever you go speak with, if it's an agitator from the other side, name it whatever, you have to come to an agreement. You have to find out what is it they're scared of, or what is it that you can help them with. It's trust building. At that level you are right now. It is like a football match. You have the confused side and you have the other side. Who is scoring more goals? That's how it is. So when you speak with those who are confused, I would, as I said to you,
no, I want to get clear.
I would present a strategy paper that leads to a confederation of Biafra states. As step 1.
Confederation of Biafran states, not Nigerian states. No.
Call it Biafra state.
Okay.
Call it Biafra state in brackets as step 1.
Yeah.
Because if you exclude all the other Nigerian states, then you're back at square one. You won't achieve anything. If you say for the first level, we have to, you can use a different argument. You could use the argument of reconciliation. You can say, instead of talking about secession or anything, you could say, start first, we have to reconcile. There is...
With who? With the
With all the
Nigerians?
states. Within all the states, forget about wherever you want to go. First, you want to reconcile.
You have to listen to
Of course.
the argument of our people.
Yeah.
We are not the ones begging for reconciliation. My people are the ones who feel they are marginalized, who feel that they are mistreated.
I'm talking about the Biafra state.
That's the Biafrans. My people are the Biafrans.
Yeah, I know.
And we are the
You
people.
have confused states. I'm talking about the Biafra territory.
Not with the Nigerians now.
No, let's
Only
say
among the 11 you are talking about. Okay.
Yes. I'm talking about the Biafra. I said phase one, because if you come to the point where Biafra state is working properly, if you say straight from the beginning, we don't want to have anything to do with Nigeria, okay?
Yeah.
You shut the door instantly and there will be confrontation. Because Abuja or whoever is afraid that you will secede.
Okay.
I'm arguing from my point. I wouldn't secede.
Okay.
I would say, forget about Nigeria. Let us focus on Biafra first.
Okay.
Let us reconcile. Let us make us strong.
And we are still inside Nigeria.
Yeah.
But we forget about Nigeria for the time being. Good.
So, it's the same, imagine, Emmanuel. You are scared. And I tell you, I confront you with another fear. You will back off. That is the same as Abuja is now. Abuja is scared.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah.
If you come and say we will secede, they will get more scared, and as we know, once you're scared, they erect, and you don't know what happens.
It happens, yes.
So instead of saying, I come with another fear, I say, you know what, Abuja, at that stage, we're not talking about secession. We are talking reconciling our people. This is our main concern. Forget about secession. With this, you take the biggest fear from Abuja away. You release the tension. You can all this because they say, oh, of course, everybody should reconcile with their people. That's the first step.
Yeah.
Diplomacy.
Yeah.
Then you focus. Then you create. You take the best role model of governance in the world and create it in Biafra. Make a role model, and you will see it will prosper. It will go. You have the states that are then reconciled. At first, they trust each other again. They're becoming a unity.
Yeah.
Okay. With the unity, you create democracy. You create something. Everything. Corruption eliminated. All those things. And then you are in a much stronger position to Abuja. Look, I told you the example of Bavaria. Bavaria was an agricultural state.
Yeah.
Everybody financed Bavaria. Today, Bavaria is financing. Okay. But Bavaria has the highest standards of everything. So, if you create trust within the people, you reconcile, you start off when you have all those agitating groups together to find something in the unity, not separation, in unity.
Yeah.
In peace. Peace is what everybody wants. And once you build on peace, you try there are various ways, but you find bring them all together. Then you can create a pre-Biafra agreement of a pseudo-constitution, so to speak. Something that doesn't threaten Abuja. You don't call it constitution, call it a reconciliation strategy. Nobody can say anything, even though it's a constitution
of our own.
Exactly. So for that, but it's not with intention that one day you say, oh, you know what, now we have our constitution. Forget about this. Come always from peace. Because in Nigeria, like Mike, he doesn't want to have war neither. No, but nobody wants war.
Yeah.
Today, people are more concerned to have enough food.
Yeah.
So if you, based on that, you bring all the...
Eliminate fear all around the country.
Yes. But if you create a role model from the Biafra state as the most democratic place in Africa,
yeah,
then everybody will look at you. And that will rise. raise your prestige. And then, once you are economically thriving, okay, and I should always, in this transformation process, when you do this, you have to also make sure, and that is the most difficult part for you as a leader, you have to, sorry saying that, but you have to make sure that you don't have people like Emmanuel who are freaking out. You must have people, I don't want to say like me, but you must have people who are patient.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to remind you about that very comment. You don't want people like Emmanuel who are freaking out, because when we sent our proposal of a visit, they had to go into my archives to watch what I've done with the Biafran movement, my connections, my contacts, some of my videos, and found it a little bit chaotic, the way we respond to one another. He believes that that is for them freaking out. That is why all the experts that I've been meeting, none of them have aligned with Nnamdi Kanu's system. But at this time, it is fair and also good for us to understand that even the white men who are giving us advice are somewhat short-sighted about the stories, or they are depending on who you meet. If you meet those who have researched up to Africa, who are on the move, like the ones I met yesterday. The guy I met today is an expert who is dealing with some kind of humanitarian issues in Eastern Europe or something, or somewhat Asia, somewhat that he's not at this time particularized in Africa. But the people who gave advice yesterday, I took section with, are experts who are currently on the ground. They have their tentacles all over. They have all their means of extracting information no matter where it is in Africa. They had their own advice also. They had nothing to do with accepting the methodology Nnamdi is applying, although they still believe, these are people who believe that the Biafran struggle is healthy. That what you see Nnamdi doing, what you see Ben Onwuka, what you will see the Supreme Council of Elders or any group out there, Tony Nade, Emeka, all of them, that everything that is happening for good. This is one thing, one positive message that we should take. And now it's also, when we take this message, because we are confused, we are saying that we ourselves don't understand how that could be for good. So you don't just accept it, everything is working for good, and you accept it and you run back home and say, yes, it's working for good. You don't know how to go about it. It is when we have to approach these people, always keep going to get information and the advice on what's good about the whole condition we are facing. We have faced a lot of insult, a lot of threat among our own selves. We have faced a lot of catastrophic circumstances among ourselves, despite the fact that we know, like I always say, everything that have an advantage has a disadvantage. We have also lived through the advantageous part of what the Biafran catastrophic attitude has brought to us. We are so popular all over the world. Before I met the guy who I'm speaking with this morning, he told me that he even heard about the Biafran struggle on BBC. I don't know how he got it or where he got that. Also on German television. He told me that immediately I entered. He said there is information about the Biafran struggle now on the German television and also on BBC. Before we continue, that is to tell you we are making efforts. We have more efforts we have a lot more work to do, and we should pay attention. The advice was that we should accept everything that is out there as a group or as an idea to be the Biafran movement ideology. When Nnamdi says, for example, there should be election, and there should be no election, we should accept it and accept it as one of the strategies of the Biafran movement. When the Supreme Council of Elders says there is going to be an election, we should also accept it and accept it as one of those Biafran strategies. But the irony now becomes, where it becomes difficult, is the implementation of these ideas, because these ideologies we can see are running completely opposite. They are completely contradicting to one another. When you say people need to vote and the other idea says people don't need to vote. I wanted to know how the white men will deal with this condition. That was my interest. How are you going to deal with, yesterday my section was about how are you going to deal with a situation where one set of people are getting two different kinds of messages in a very tight time, at a very, very important time, without much space of time. How are we going to do with it? That was when the argument came that we should accept all these ideas, all these notions as ours. We don't have to, because Nnamdi is saying there's not going to be election, we don't have to operate the way we are operating now, accusing ourselves, insulting ourselves, going about criticizing ourselves openly and completely demonizing one another. They say that is false. That is false. Even if you are in the other camp, if you are in the camp that says there must be election, you don't have no reason to go demonizing another plan that is also the plan of the Biafran struggle in general. The sense being that this is natural, it is the way it's supposed to be. And where there is diversity in ideology, in all kinds, in human behavior understanding, that is a very healthy society. A situation where people have to come up with series of ideas to make choice of the best, and the methodology, the ways, the means, the timing of usage. They went on to tell me that the only way we can do this is by educating the people to understand that every idea that belongs to each group there is the Biafran people's ideology for secession, or for whatever you want to call it, or whatever we are looking for, although they themselves are not directly talking about secession at this time. But this advice is important because they also lay down a way to work it out. In a situation like this, these leaders, even today's advice, as we continue to read, to hear what the advice for today is from the experts themselves, we will understand that the same advice keeps on calling on we, first of all, us, coming together. There must be coming together, and we have series of them. It is important at this very point, with all these ideas, with all these strategies that are wonderful strategies coming from wonderful minds of the Biafran people. We bring them to the table. Each one of them have to lay their ideas on the ground. What that idea, that strategy, that means have to achieve, what they intend to achieve it, how they feel that what they are doing will achieve what their intentions are. What do you feel? You have to narrate to the people, how do you think that this is going to go? Like in Nnamdi Kanu, there's not going to be election. Okay, fine. We agree there's not going to be election. We are going to work with you to make that work. But first of all, how is that going to play out in case there's no election? What happens next? In case the election day, the Nigeria reacts this way, what do you do afterwards? All these questions will be posed to each one of these groups that will lay down their strategies and ideas there to understand what they put there as a precaution measure in case things didn't even go the way they planned. How are they going to make sure that they minimize risk, they minimize loss of life, that whatever strategy they are implementing there is not going to risk the life of people, which we have experienced, and it doesn't augur well with anybody who hears, who have experienced, lived through what just happened 6-7 months or ago, or 1 year ago, or 2 months, 2 years ago now, the killing of our people in masses, just in the name of Biafra, that up to today is not there. Some of the people who died last year within the time of the protest, if you tell them that up to now Biafra is not there, they will not believe it. They died in full hope, they decided to give up all what they have, their last breath, just because they believe that their children will be better tomorrow, by now that we are on the brink of forming that very nation. But it's not happened. That is why every man who or woman who is coming to lay down any strategy should be able to back up that strategy straight by straight. That is step by step. You tell us, you will be calm, you'll be quiet to give us your answers, your solutions, and your intentions. If the Supreme Council of Elders, those people, they come on their own side, they say there is going to be election. They should tell us, if there's election, what do you wish to achieve? How do you wish to follow it to achieve that very, very intention that you are nursing? And also, the people, yes, today, the man I spoke with did not so much agree with the time frame. But the people I spoke with, the experts yesterday, we are talking about a time frame based on this idea, so that you use this time frame to have a sense of when you should hold people accountable for what they said, what they acted that was not fulfilled. So that's why the people that advised yesterday use time frame to justify a period of judgment or accountability. But today, the expert I met today sees it in a different light about giving a time frame, although he had, like I said, he's not the ones who are right there in Africa. He's working Asia, Eastern Europe. But with my contact, with my request, he is going to find time to work also hand in hand with the other experts. I'm trying to make sure that I collect up to 5, 6, 7 people who will be willing to work on the Biafran strategy. That's what we don't have. That's what we don't know how to work about. And that's what we need to listen to the experts to give us idea on how to work it out. Let's continue to listen to my conversation with this very expert, who I withhold their names because of security reasons. Not security of Europe or anything, but because of our people's security. I know how our people operate. That is anyway, by the way. But I know why I'm holding up the name.
Have the understanding that everything is dynamic. And if somebody is saying something today, he can change his mind tomorrow. But let him speak. So, why I'm saying this? Because first phase is you get all the people together. This is already difficult enough. To believe in peace, then you reform on the state level.
I get
governance tools that don't threaten a butcher, but help to say, for instance, or every state in Biafra should have an independent corruption council, something that all states agree, because that is nothing the world is expecting. So you're not doing something to provoke a butcher, you just do something for your people to create transparency.
Yeah.
So when all those 11 states agree on this is already the first big thing. And then you can say whatever a butcher says. A butcher doesn't have any influence anymore on the state level, because the states are independent.
Can they just become independent without Abuja making them independent, like giving the autonomy more powers? Like now, they won't. Then it becomes.
This is why I'm saying.
Now, let me come. It becomes a little bit difficult for us to develop if the freedom doesn't come from the top. That's why people are talking about restructuring. In this sense, now if I woke up today and say I want to build a road in my place, there are roads in my own place, I cannot touch them because they are deemed to be federal roads. Even if I have the money to build them, the government have distance to do them. Like the mine in our place, coal mine, we can't mine it because
it's from Abuja.
Yes. So even if we create the structures we are talking about, we need that freedom to come from the top. How do we get that? The development here would be also very, very.
What I would do is I would really get a good lawyer. I mean, you said you have a lawyer. I don't know which specialty is.
Yeah.
There.
The lawyer in Nigeria? Are they coming international, or law in Nigeria is
what
just...
I'm saying, what I'm telling you, generally lawyer, a really good lawyer, a lawyer that has international recognition. Then I would work with an external group. There's legal groups, African Legal, or HADA, I think it's called, or HADA. It's an international group that helps countries or regions, I think, to assess their legal structure. Okay, so I would take an external, yet again, not threaten a butcher. Just try, like you go to the doctor, you want a second advice. Okay, so you go external. Speak to OHADA, for instance, OHADA, like the International African Group of Lawyers. And say, listen, that is the situation. What could we do? Please help us to provide a law
that would free us.
To change, to bring the solution. I wouldn't say free us. Free us is of course, but you can say free us or you can say bring a solution. They're different, two different.
So that you can develop your place.
Exactly. That you want your freedom is out of question. But if you use positive words, always looking not to hurt or harm or frighten the other side, okay? To use words that convince the other side. So instead of, we have a deadlock here, we would like to develop, but we're stuck. What can we do to find a possible compromise with a law that can help us on that? And once you start with the first, you go with the next. But you should always look at laws that are not threatening. Okay, that always make sense for a butcher in terms of looking at the people. Oh yeah, that makes sense. They want to have their own roads. Well, we shouldn't do this from here. Okay. Also, what kind of laws are in terms of? Okay, I have 10 minutes. Laws that a butcher, by common sense, can't deny. Common sense is, for instance, that you say, like, infrastructure. That is a regional thing. Okay? It's like education is a regional thing. Look at...
Markets. Markets, because...
But also, for instance, the position...
Industries we cannot... There are industries we can't do.
Well, of course not. And this is, you have to analyze. Okay? This is like... you have to say which industries are blocked. Okay, like you could also, if you provide me with a document that all shows what blocks the regional sovereignty or the state sovereignty of a state in Biafra, then it's easy to develop a strategy out of this. But always keep in mind, if you go, like Kanu says, we want to get weapons and it won't work. The only thing that works today is peace. And peace is the denominator, even when peace is a bit longer. But you have to look in the long run. Short solutions is maybe a secession, but it won't solve the problem.
And it is catastrophic sometimes.
There is a famous saying, you can't beat evil with evil. You can only beat evil with love. I give you one final example. It is...
Hot fire with fire is not working.
Well, like this. There was a Chinese emperor. And he had a little monster sitting next to his throne. And everybody was scared to his monster. But he was very small. And then he said to his people, I will go on travel. And they were scared of the monster. Symbolically, metaphor, fear. So they were so scared of this monster, every day the emperor was gone, it became bigger and bigger and bigger, until it ruled the palace. Then the emperor came back, and he couldn't enter because the monster was so massive. And he said, what did you do? Well, they said, we're scared. Just like a butcher to you, whoever is scared. Then you know what he did? He started to wash his feet from the monster. He said, you're nice. And the monster became smaller and smaller and smaller. And through that you solve. So when there is somebody, this is why when there was this conflict, I listened to everybody, try to be patient, come forward. Because everybody has a meaning, has a reason why he answered that. And you have to overcome that. You have to overcome to go beyond the emotions. You have to go beyond and find what is the reason why you're acting like this.
Yeah.
And that with highest respect and whatever. Even respect the people in Abuja. It's history. Nothing wrong.
Yeah, it's history.
It's history.
Things happen and pass.
It happened. But now we're today.
Yeah.
And today the people in Biafra may think that, yeah, we would like to have our independence. Okay? Or we would like whatever. But before we do this, why don't we reconcile? Why don't we all feel strong Biafra people?
Yeah.
And based on that, like the Americans, like the 76 people who signed the independence, make something that is the best of the world.
Yeah, maybe we'll have much longer period next time, because right now you have 10 minutes. So, where the problem is who is going to be respected to gather these 11 people together? Among these 11 people are so many divisions, because they have so many
well, you must
leaders.
Find somebody. Yeah, you must find somebody, and it's a tedious work unless you find one person that is respected by all, who could be the mediator. If you find one personality that speaks to all of them and says, okay, I speak with each of the one, take what is important for them, what is their part of compromise, then you, after all the 11, you can draw a strategy. You can say, okay, from those, yes, we understood you. This is part integrated, so to cover your fears. This we have to decide. It's a tedious work.
Yeah, it's a tedious work.
But
I spoke with somebody also, and somebody who knows much also like you. He said the first thing, when there's a disagreement like this among the decision makers, that is where the disagreement on policy, on the strategy they want to use. And this affects the people, because the people believes in their what their leaders believe. The only way to solve the situation is to educate the people to know that if there are 7 strategies among these leaders, as long as they are one people, let them know that 7 strategies belong to the movement of Biafra. Each and every one of the followers should understand that these things the leaders have as strategies is their own. As a property.
You have the media presence you can do and say, okay, we have 7 different leaders.
Yeah, with 7 strategies.
Take a simple question.
Yeah.
What is your answer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then present it to the people. So they see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said. They say, okay, if somebody comes from outside and asks any of these members and said, what's the Biafran strategy? It is right when you say, not only the strategy that operates in your own field.
Yeah.
You will have to say, as the Biafran strategy is all the other strategies together.
Yeah.
Then the question becomes, how do you implement them?
Yeah,
you bring these leaders together who have all these strategies, and each one of them have to say, this is my strategy, this is the way I want to achieve it, this is the end result I want to achieve, and this is my time frame.
Exactly.
So if everybody have this, put down on the table, we will start to look at the shortest time frames, the one that will come before another.
No, I wouldn't go by time frame. The thing is that, yes, time frame is something, but as you said before, time frame is always personal.
You see, so that is where we had the disagreement about using a time frame and not using a time frame. The experts yesterday, which I also indicated to him right there, that I was with some other people like him yesterday also, who gave the advice on how to mend the problem that is at hand, using the time frame and also to justify a time for accountability. But according to his own thoughts, his own understanding, maybe not having full information about what our people have been going through in terms of lack of accountability. People just giving us one story today, tomorrow they don't fulfill it, nobody asks them, they give us a different story, so we just continue for following sheepishly. So that is the essence of that time frame there, so that we know when your job that you promised is finished, when your strategy has come to a flat level, then we can incite another strategy if we know your time frame. That is also out there, because we have a lot of those strategies from our people. So we continue, like you see, You heard also, I have only 10 minutes from the time I started talking now with him to finish the section I had with him. So it's very expensive to talk with these people for only 30 minutes. To have a session with them for 30 minutes, it costs a lot of money. But I will continue to do my best to make sure I meet people like this, one after the other. If possible, try to gather them together to strategize and possibly connect them with these leaders of all these groups so that they can have standard and articulated advice. Let's continue before we end up.
And you have, on the one hand, leaders who want to have their personal legacy. That is why they put time frames. Or you create time frames where you say those are topics. For instance, if there is something that affects all because it's too deep a wound, you can't say in 3 months that is solved. There are certain problems that affect all, especially when they're emotional. To have a strategy to do this is clear. What you say is totally right.
Yeah.
This is called effective project management, nothing more. Okay?
Yeah.
But you need a project manager to literally get all the things together. This is what I always do. I get all the things together and then draw an Excel sheet, make the strategy, project and phases, blah blah blah, and then you see what is
which one is
at which phase. That's not the problem. Is that when to start, like you said, you have to bring them together and not start with too much difference. Start, do we all want peace? A simple question.
Yeah.
Nobody can deny.
Yeah.
And if you say, guys, if we all want peace in Biafra, are you for it or not?
Yeah.
Nobody can say no.
So no.
So, and that is how you start. And when some idiot comes and says, you always can say, you know that if you continue like this, you are going against your own word, because you create not peace. All right?
Yeah. Okay, very, very good section.
Well, if this is where I can help.
Yeah, and that was it. That was my section today with experts that have done the work around the world, helping countries and humanity in need. We cannot live by believing we know how to do it all. Sometimes it's good to listen to people. Today, I quite learned a lot because it came to a stage where the man used me personally as an example of what the Biafran movement or the character of the Biafran movement should not possess. The fact, going through my videos, confrontation with our own people, he made that reference at a particular point. And we should all learn from there, try to be humble to ourselves, try to mellow down, try to understand the other man's argument, like also follow what the experience or the knowledge I gained yesterday about accepting whatever is the ideology coming from all areas of the Biafran struggle, all groups. The Tony Nadidem ideology of referendum should be accepted. The Nnamdi Kanu ideology now of boycott of election should be accepted. The Supreme Council of Elders ideology of must go through the political means also should be accepted. If there are other ideologies, other tactics that are out there by other groups, all should be accepted. We should embrace everything that our people has laid out there for us as a weapon to fight the struggle. Now it is when we accept all these weapons that makes us strong. That means we have so many ways of doing it. Instead of accepting just that one way that belongs to one group. If you fail, if you have your whole belief on that one idea, when you fail, you get completely destroyed. You get devastated. You get demoralized. But if you have numerous beliefs in strategy out there, when one fails, you know you have another to go with. The only thing the Biafran people should be asking is for these leaders who have the standard strategies to move this very struggle forward to do right now is to come together with not unity meeting. We don't really, because I asked about this. This was a little bit of the section, but I asked about, we have been having sections of unity meetings. What does that, is that a proper place where we should table all these ideas and strategies? They say no, there's nothing like, you cannot get unification among all the whole groups. They have grown with years and times and a lot of hard work that these people who manage these groups have given to whatever they have out there. You cannot collapse them. You cannot shrinken them. You cannot make them disappear. You cannot unite them to come under one umbrella. But what you can do is to accommodate them all. When you accommodate them all, you make sense of what all of them are talking about, what is coming from them. Then do the strategic, the strategic planning in sequence. How to use these ones, which one is due for usage at a particular time, which one should be left for a later stage. It doesn't actually mean that you have to be from one group. And if we are coming from one group, we will only have one ideology, we will only have one strategy, which is very poor, which is not sufficient for a group and a movement like the Biafran movement. Biafran movement, what is happening, there's so many groups, there's so many diversity in ideas and the strategies, is the most healthy thing that is happening to a people if we know how to use them. So brothers and sisters, I'll keep on doing my best to go to these sections to make sure that I can get one information or the other to return to our people. And I pray that most of these our leaders will from time to time pick out one or two words that they can use to help strengthen and also try to make your group flexible. What you are going to use to free your mind, yourself, to be a little bit understanding with your own people. So brothers and sisters, Wanchuku Emmanuel Africans Online Network, we ask you to come out here and do whatever you can do for the people of Biafra. We are going to get a lot of very interested people, very humanly affected and very, very sober-minded people to advise us, to help us on this movement. The Biafra movement has gone completely worldwide. This time we know it. Like I said, the white man who just spoke right now confirmed to me that he heard the Biafran struggle because they are into research. When I pass them request of a visiting request, I give them my questions, my problems. I first of all send it across, and they go through, they make their research. They become interested. These are people who are completely human-minded. Like I said, don't forget, a lot of things bring you to where you are, maybe because you are humanly minded, maybe because you are a crook sometimes working for the government, or you are using it for a purpose that might be beneficial to you, or maybe you are completely humane, that you care about people across the world. We are not here to question the notion or the intentions of the people who are doing anything they are doing for the sake of Biafra. Likewise, we have some crews among our own struggle within who are also Biafrans. But at this point, there is no way you can live by just questioning people and trying to make everybody see it your own way. So right now, brothers and sisters, I will be doing my best. Going now, I am now I've talked enough with our people. I'm trying to bring reconciliation, although many people said, like the white man also said, I have not got the right temperament. It is good for somebody and recognize where you have the fault so that you can start building on bettering the situation. For the Biafran struggle, for the Biafran people, I am going to work on my anger management. I'm going to work on my temperament to be able to communicate with you people, to be able to tell you that I'm sorry when I'm wrong, to be able to express my view, like just the white man said, in a way to convince people and not to encounter people. That is the method, the strength that we should all start building among ourselves. All of us, most of us, the Biafrans, I think there is something that have this. When I was in Cameroon too, if you go to Ghana, if you go to Cameroon, even the Yoruba people, most people know the Igbos as aggressive. The Cameroonians always address the Igbos as Biafrans, and they know that you are aggressive Biafrans. That's what they know us to be. It's going to work for us when we are trying to deal, and sometimes it doesn't even work when you are dealing with an external figure. How much more when you are dealing with your own brother? I have learned a lot this time around, brother. It is time we start, like I said, looking inward. First of all, it starts from Emmanuel. It starts from Emmanuel knowing how to talk to the next brother. It starts from Emmanuel thinking twice before he says. It starts from Emmanuel trying to help his own people in whichever way that I can do it. Physical, financially, mentally, morally, otherwise. It all starts from me first. It starts from me accepting what Nnamdi Kanu is saying. It starts from me accepting what Tony Nadi is saying. It starts from me accepting what the Supreme Council of Elders is saying. It starts from me observing all these plans and ideas coming from our great people and making them my ideas. Knowing that having the idea of Tony Nadi, having the idea of Nnamdi Kanu, having the idea of Emeka Siri makes me a stronger Biafran. I think that's where it starts. And that's why the white men have just taught me. And I'm very proud. Because we know we don't know it all. And we know also these people have done it before. They have come out from circumstances like that. They have made their own mistakes and they have learned from their own mistakes. The white men are in better position to tell us how to go about it. No matter how we look at them as being crooked. But at the same time, there is always tendency for you to learn in all positions and situations. Let us believe that it starts from us. Emmanuel, you first have to show love. You first have to show compassion. You first have to show acceptance. You first have to show your morality towards other Biafrans in what you say, what you do, how you think. Accommodating everything out there. But our leaders should come together with all those ideas that we are accumulating, that I have to accept. These leaders who own these ideas should come together and present these ideas and argue, deliberate, debate to very strongly support and defend their ideas. So, brothers and sisters, it's been a good day. So I say good day once again, and God help us all. Bye-bye.